And I chose to stay in that relationship. And after 7 years, I made the choice to leave. And even though it was a difficult thing to do, I learned so much, and I made another choice that I wanted to help other people avoid toxic relationships, and when they do get out of them, how to survive. So let me first give a definition of what toxic relationships are. A toxic relationship is characterized by behaviors that are emotionally and or physically damaging to your partner. Many times you may hear it referred to as domestic violence, domestic abuse, intimate partner abuse, but again, we're going to really focus on the toxic part of it today. These relationships are characterized by insecurity, self-centeredness, dominance, and control. And I want to make sure that everyone understands that even though you may hear some things today that sound similar to your relationship, it doesn't necessarily mean that your relationship is toxic. But these are really guidelines for you to see if your relationship has more of these things happening than not, then you may be in a toxic relationship. So what I've done is through research taken basically 10 types of behaviors, 6 types of behaviors that we're going to talk about today. The first one we're going to talk about is the belittler. And I want this to be a little bit interactive. We're a nice sized group. So if anyone think of what a belittler, just from that word, what do you think that means? You can just yell it out.
Someone who lowers your self-esteem.
Very good. Anyone else?
Someone who says things that only make you feel small.
Yes, very good. And again, a belittler, as you all mentioned, this is a person who, as the title says, belittles you. Their goal is to put you down. They make fun of you. They challenge things you say. They act like everything you say is silly, stupid, foolish. And when you call them on it, or you ask them to stop, they indicate that they can't, that they're just joking, they aren't really being serious. And they make you feel like you were foolish for even assuming that they were trying to do anything but be innocent. This person makes you feel, or tries to make you feel, like you're lucky just to be with them. And again, the goal, all of these behavior types that we're going to talk about today, the goal is for that person to have control over you. Power and control is the #1 reason why they do this. So with the belittler, their goal is to keep your self-esteem, as you mentioned, keep your self-esteem so low as possible so that you don't challenge their absolute control of the relationship. So that's the belittler. The next, and as I said, we're going to go kind of quick. This is normally broken down to kind of go into each one. But the next one we're going to talk about is the bad temper. Now, we've all at times lost our temper. And again, we're not saying that just because you use your temper, it's a toxic relationship. But in these kind of relationships where a person has a bad temper as a toxic behavior, it's a hair trigger temper. You're walking on eggshells. You never know what you're going to say or do that's going to set this person off. And then when you do respond when this person does respond in an anger rage, they indicate that you are to blame for it. As you would expect with this type of person, their outbursts, everything, they make you responsible for. And again, power and control. Okay? They disown responsibility. And that's another key. They take responsibility off of themselves and they blame their dysfunctional behavior on you. If you have any questions as we go along, feel free to ask. The next type of behavior, and it's important to know that this type of behavior, toxic behavior that we're going to talk about next, is not just in relationships where there's a boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife. This one is very common where there's a parent and an adult child. And this is the guilt inducer. Now, can anyone tell me, again, just from that title, what do you think guilt inducer, what type of toxic behavior would that be?
Child thinks it's his fault.
Yeah, exactly. The guilt inducer, this person, as it says, tries to make you feel guilty for everything that goes wrong. They will disguise their guilt-inducing control by seemingly supporting a decision you made. So you may have seen it when a person says, I want to go back to school, or I want to go back to work, say, sure, go ahead, that's fine, I'm in full support. But then once you do it, they start complaining, well, now that you're in school, the kids, they miss you, they're not eating, so they're making you feel guilty for your choice. Again, this is again another thing that is very common when you have toxic relationships with parents and adult children. Again, it's back to the control factor is the main issue. This next type that we're going to talk about is the over-dependent partner. This type of person, a lot of times you may hear the expression passive-aggressive. The over-dependent person, they will not make a decision. And you may have experienced that. Someone who says, no, you decide. Where do you want to eat? Well, you decide. Or where do you want to do? You decide. But the problem with that is when it goes wrong or they're not happy, then they have the pouting, the not speaking to you, or the other type of actions. They're making you feel bad for making a decision that they forced you to make. So again, that can be very draining to a person because that person who's in that, they never feel comfortable making decisions. They never feel comfortable making choices because they know when I make this decision, if it doesn't go right, it's going to be trouble.